This is our news, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, the finance minister talks about the economic impact of legalizing marijuana. Plus, the Rastafarian community continues its fight for religious freedom. And later on, we feature the defending Boxing Day champions, One Family, as we continue our Rush to Bay series.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest says without the Marijuana Commission's report, his ministry can't evaluate the economic impact marijuana may have on the country. Our Jared Higgs tells us more.
As Cabinet awaits the Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana's recommendations for the way forward for the plant, Turnquest was questioned on what sort of revenue legal marijuana could bring to the country. While noting that government was holding off until receiving the Marijuana Commission's report, he acknowledged that there are some areas of interest.
We know theoretically that there should be some revenue enhancement and maybe even industrial development as a result of the production of industrial grade hemp and these kind of things, because it's not just the medicinal or the recreational use, but there's also industrial uses. So we need to consider all of that and again to weigh that benefit against the potential risk.
Legal marijuana industries represent new potential revenue streams for countries across the region and the world. The state of Colorado surpassed the $1 billion tax revenue mark this June, averaging $24 million in revenue every month. However, some critics of marijuana taxes as new sources of revenue say regulations dampen the earning potential.
There is the social side, there is the medical side, and then there is revenue and what that may potentially translate into. All of this has to be considered, and this is why it's important to wait for the Commission to report, because they will consider all of these issues so that the government has a basis from which to make decisions. We don't want to move towards a particular position out of pure revenue anticipation and cause unintended consequences with social costs that basically wipes out any gains that you may have gotten from the sale or the production of the business.
Prime Minister Dr. McMinnis has gone on record saying he supports marijuana decriminalization and expunging criminal convictions for possessing small quantities of the drug. A growing number of Caribbean countries have amended their marijuana laws. The most recent country is Trinidad and Tobago, which is expected to proclaim marijuana's decriminalization on December 23rd.
The Prime Minister is on record with respect to the issue. So as soon as we get the details behind it and how the Commission sees the whole industry developing, then we'll be able to put some empirical economic analysis to it and be able to determine from an economic point of view what we believe the impact may be. Juxtapose that against the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Social Services, and what they think the cost may be based upon regional experience, based upon international experience that these things may have. And then we'll make a sensible, empirically driven decision.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Attorneys for the Ethiopia-Africa Black International Congress are in the process of drawing up a statement of claim against the government, which is expected to be completed by the end of the year. That according to attorney Wayne Monroe QC, who says Rastafarians have long been denied their right to use Indian hemp as a sacrament.
We are seeking, if at all possible, to wrap it up before the end of the year. In the Christmas time, you have less court hearings, you have less people working, since people don't seem to want to work in Christmas. So we will have more time in office to polish off the document and get it in to be filed.
Monroe asserted that the freedom for Rastafarians to practice their religion has been breached since the formation of the 1967 Constitution.
You have a right to practice your religion, so if the government were to say that churches collect an offering and telling you it's going to God, they regard that as fraud, and churches can't collect any offering. People would clearly say you can't do that. If the government were to say that Anglicans and Roman Catholics cannot give the sacrament, our sacrament is wine, to children underage. You would clearly say that the government doesn't do that.
In June, Monroe filed an action in the Supreme Court after the government failed to adequately respond to their requests to use marijuana for religious purposes. Attorney General Carl Bethel, when asked to comment on the matter, said the proposed case was ill-founded. Well, the court system is set for serious technological upgrades in 2020. That's according to Chief Justice Brian Moree, QC, who recently revealed that fact to our news team.
We are going to see a lot of technology introduced into our court system next year. We cannot hope to run a modern court system in the Bahamas without a major technology platform which is going to allow us to introduce what's called an integrated case management system.
Moree says the goal is to make the entire court system more efficient and bring its operations into the 21st century.
And we're trying to deliver many of our services, all right, through electronic means, what's called e-services. So we're going to be introducing e-filing, we're going to be introducing e-payments, e-calendaring, e-scheduling, e-probate. And as we work our way through these things, I hope that the public is going to see a major improvement in the delivery of our services in the context of the administration of justice.
A part of the upgrade will be the launch of an automated bail management system, which will allow individuals to apply for bail with their biometrics. Moree says kiosks will be installed at locations across New Providence where people can fill out their applications. Well, the government's negotiations for the property on which the Star Academy was built have come to a standstill, according to Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd. The government has been in talks with the Seventh-day Adventist Church regarding the school, which was the brainchild of former Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald.
We have not. That has come to a standstill, unfortunately. We have reached out to the Methodist Church to seek to resolve it, and I am advised by my team that that effort is ongoing so that we could see how there is a resolution. But as you know, it's quite a concern to us that some $20+ million have been spent and another $10 or so million projected for a property which may not be useful to us in the long term, and certainly is not our own property. It belongs to the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
It was revealed that the school was intended to be a government-run facility for at-risk youth, was still owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and the previous administration never signed the lease agreement. Nearly 200 Haitian migrants apprehended in Bahamian waters last evening during a joint operation by the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and Operations Bahamas Turks and Caicos. An OPBAT helicopter spotted a 30-foot low-profile wooden vessel around 5 p.m. Friday in the vicinity of Little Inagua. When the sloop was intercepted, a total of 84 people were taken aboard the USCG cutter and transferred to Turks and Caicos. The remaining 101 migrants were taken aboard the HMBS Bahamas and transported to Matthewtown, Inagua for further processing by immigration officials on that island. The Defense Force says it has been implementing measures to address the influx of Haitian migrants, adding that it is actively monitoring changes in illicit trends and patterns which are expected to occur. Meantime, police are investigating a shooting that has left one man in hospital. The man was in the area of a business establishment on Monastery Street off Bernard Road around 9 last night when he was approached and shot by another man. He was taken to hospital where at last report he was listed in serious but stable condition. Police are appealing to anyone with any information that could lead to the arrest of the person responsible for the shooting to contact the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991 or 2 Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS or the nearest police station. Well, still ahead tonight.
So I think we're going through a period where things are coming back to where they were.
NATO officials anticipate hundreds of thousands of travelers passing through the country's main gateway during the holiday peak period. Plus, we take you inside the one-family Junkanoo shack.
I think the voices of the parents who lost children really is just what jumps out right to me, and that's what you're gonna see, stand out quite a bit in my piece. And seeing the devastation there, even nearly 3 months after the storm, was eye-opening for me. This should have opened my eye back on September 5th when I first went. But really and truly, I was more surprised about it. Still seeing the damage, still seeing the homes, totally ripped apart, wiped off their foundation. I wrote in a story recently that the people with the blue tarps on their roof seem to be like the lucky ones. But blue tarp on your roof, you got no roof over your head except for a piece of plastic, so how lucky can you really be?
Next tonight, travel numbers finally back to normal at the Lynden Pindling International Airport. Marketing VP Jan Knowles said after Hurricane Dorian in September, there was a slump in arrivals at the airport. But with it being the beginning of LPIA's peak travel season, Knowles said the numbers are finally looking like they should.
We saw the passenger numbers rebounding in October, better numbers in November. So I think we're going through a period where things are coming back to where they were. But to come back to where they were, last year was a banner year for us. But we're seeing the recovery.
The international arrivals section was bustling with activity as visitors and locals touched down at LPIA, but Knowles said it is the busy season. Anyone planning on traveling should aim to get to the airport at least 3 hours in advance.
Give yourself enough time so that you can do all of your security screening, screening through U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So just give yourself enough time when you're coming into the airport. Certainly, this is the time when people travel and take gifts and also bring gifts back. So you want to make sure that your gifts are unwrapped.
In Junkanoo shacks around the country, it's a race against time as groups prepare to do battle in the Boxing Day parade. Our Jerome Sawyer continues his Rush to Bay series tonight with a visit to the One Family Shack.
To the untrained eye, a Junkanoo shack can appear a place where costumes are made. But take a moment to look closer. It's a design center, welding shop, an artist studio, a place where the imaginations of a Junkanoo artist come to life. Welcome to the Gaza, one of the main shacks of the One Family group.
You have a lot of members that it's just like late bloomers. We call it the crunch time. So there's a lot of panicking, there's a lot of screaming, there's a lot of trying to put it together to create that perfect cake to go to Bay Street, where we want to produce a product that's going to be immaculate and that's going to be flawless. So at the end of the day, there's countless hours that's already put in.
The intensity here is real. From the steel welder to the builder and those pasting, everyone has a job and must take it seriously. Throughout our shack tours, this was the first time we actually came across children. 2 school-aged boys were right at home among adults in this space.
Do we teach him that, or he just knows that? He walked in, picked up that drum, and he looked like a drummer 4 times his age. Where do we get that from?
It's like a marketing strategy. You have kids that walk in here that don't know anything about crepe paper, don't know anything about the horn, know anything about the cowbells, know anything about the drum, but as the culture's in you. So it's some way that we withdraw that culture out of them when they feel the rhythm, when they feel the expression, when they feel that there's a place for them, and this is somewhat like a safe haven.
Our Jerome Sawyer reporting. When our news comes back from the break, we continue our countdown of the 12 days of Christmas, so stay with us.
I think the voices of the parents who lost children really is just what jumps out right to me. And that's what you're gonna see, stand out quite a bit in my piece. And seeing the devastation there even nearly 3 months after the storm was eye-opening for me. This should have opened my eye back on September 5th when I first went. But really and truly, I was more surprised about it, still seeing the damage, still seeing the homes, totally ripped apart, wiped off their foundation. I wrote in a story recently that the people with the blue tarps on their roof seem to be like the lucky ones. But blue tarp on your roof, you got no roof over your head except for a piece of plastic, so how lucky can you really be?
Whether it's the made-for-TV movies or big-screen blockbusters, Christmas movies are a holiday favorite. So once the tree trimming and holiday feasting are done, you may want to consider pulling up a seat at Fusion Superplex.
So there's going to be a new Star Wars, the final chapter is coming out on episode 9, and there'll be some big surprises for that movie.
And if the movies themselves aren't putting you in the holiday spirit, try getting in on a bit of Christmas charity.
We also have the toy drive, so once you buy a toy, we want a brand new toy now. We put the receipt right on that box office, and we'll donate it on Christmas Eve to a home. I think it's Children's Emergency Hostel.
Children's Emergency Hostel.
Right. And
so if you purchase a movie ticket, you'll be entered, well not entered, but you'll be given a free popcorn for the gift that you give to a child this Christmas, and unwrapped.
Unwrapped, so you can't buy it, the child open it, and you don't want to give it to no. It has to be a brand new toy when you give away.
But remember, Christmas traditions still apply.
Might see Mr. on the bar, so
Might get to steal a kiss, you never know.
Obey the Christmas rules.